Good job, Nate. I'm going to still muted. How about now? Can you hear me now? All right. So I'm not sure why that muted like that, but hey. But now you can hear me, right? All right. Just so you know, I'm going to mute your audio, and I'm going to start things, and then it'll be muted, so you can chat amongst yourselves, whatever. It's going to be muted until I say welcome and all that fun business. So, all right. I won't be able to hear you. I want to welcome everybody here to the very first Cubicle chat, as I'm calling it. Everyone is on. How is everyone this evening?
Muy bien.
Muy bien, that's good. All right. Now, I'm not nearly as professional as Rocco, which is why this is called a low-rent version of the show. I just want to start off by saying greetings and welcome. We're set out to have a talk about tech around the virtual water cooler. Anything that is Linux, tech, and open source related is on the table for discussion. We do have some things on the docket, but first I want to thank Rocco for starting the BDLL Community, where I truly felt like a member of the nicest group of encouraging and uplifting people of phenomenal skills and abilities in a wide range of levels. So thank you. I also want to thank the OpenSUSE project there for allowing us to use their Jitsi server. That's how we're running the video. So it may not be as nice and slick as Zoom, but it's free. So I see I have Vash. He's my co-host. So he's one that pretty much put the bug in my ear. I'm gonna recycle a joke I said earlier. So if you've seen Star Trek II: The Wrath of Khan, and when they had the bugs that they put in people's ears, and Chekhov, he's like screaming as the bug is crawling in there and controlling the mind. That's kind of what Vash did for me. So thank you, Vash. Appreciate it.
Anytime.
So to start this off, what have you been Canucksing about? That's what you that's the term that you told me to use. Is it Canucksing? How do you say that?
I was.
Is everybody on okay?
Yeah.
Hey, there's dead air. Dead air.
Sorry. So what I was saying is no Linuxing about. So what have you been, what have you been doing in Linux? What have you been, messing with? I personally have not been doing as much. I have played a little bit with a touchpad, touch tablet, like a drawing tablet type driver a little bit. I've been messing with that a little bit this past week, but I've been doing a lot more in just Python instead of necessarily Linux stuff. But I've just been trying to just get a bit better at that and work on that a little bit. But I'm sure I can come up with some more to touch on as we go, but that's just my overall initial thing.
And I see we have Dominic in the house. He the
Yeah.
Mr. Farron OS. So what exciting things do you have to tell us about in the Farron world?
I don't really have much to say apart from Plasma 521 being Infernus now. That's about it, I suppose.
Have you been pretty involved in the KDE visual design team?
Yeah, I mean, it is a public like chat room anyway, so you could probably join it yourself.
Yeah, I'm in there, but there's a lot of stuff they talk about that I don't actually know what they're saying.
Okay,
Pretty
cool.
pretty difficult for me to contribute anything intelligent to that. I see Joshua. Joshua's here. Are you still the dude for Ubuntu Cinnamon?
Yes, I still am. Now passing over a year since our first release, 2 years since I first started the project. We're somewhat getting potty trained, as we're somewhat moving closer to flavor status. I am also, along with Martin, we're working on our own branches for the Aru theme, and currently the icons need some fixing up, but what's really going on is that we need preparation for our Hirsute Hibba release, which is I think only a month away now. And yep, it should be a month and 2 days away from now. And we need we're starting to prep up the quality assurance teams, start gathering people around, write those blog articles, build some ISOs, just get everything ready you need to ensure that it's going to be a great release. I'm currently right now just pushing some fixes to the Your Cinnamon icon theme. I think that we may be able to push it out for the release, and I'm really thrilled about it.
Nate,
And
I
I
think
think
you
you're
messed up your
muted.
mic
Can't hear you,
again.
Nate.
Yeah.
Whoops.
You're miming
Sorry.
again.
I was having I'm miming. I'm in a glass box here, and we're trying to break out. I was gonna say, Joshua. So when you say the you're fixing the theme or like the icon, is it icons you said? Is that what you said? The icons? Now I totally lost
Yeah,
my train of thought.
Yeah, the GDK theme for the most part is pretty ready. We have also basically forked off of Mint's theme to create our cinnamon version of it. And what really makes Ubuntu Cinnamon special is the environment that we offer. And I would personally really love if we can push out this Your Cinnamon icon thing out. It would be better for some unity with all the flavors, and it would just look super cooler.
Well, that's great. Well, it's exciting. I'm really glad that you're moving forward with this. You know, you never know how a project's going to turn out. You know, over time, like if it's going to hold up. And it sounds like you're keeping this going. That's great. I commend you, Josh. And so we have Adam Grubbs. He's also here, and I know he lives in the life of Linux.
Oh yeah, let me tell you. That's I mean, I make my living off of it, I suppose.
Right. There's more than I do.
Outside of that, not really much else.
Well, what are you still gaming? I haven't seen any streams pop up in a while from you. I think around Christmas. I think was the last time I saw anything.
Yeah, I mean, I've streamed recently, more so recently than before, but not as much in the last few weeks. Just not a lot to deal with at work and family and whatnot, you know, that kind of thing.
Right.
But,
makes sense.
Yeah, I mean, I still, I have like a dedicated streaming box and everything. I bought a bunch of different equipment, and
Ooh.
it's pretty great now. But it's just hasn't happened because life happened.
Right. So when you say streaming box, what does that mean to someone who doesn't have
it's a piece just a straight normal PC, but I use it just for streaming, so it has like a capture card in it and all the other stuff.
So what I'm doing for this stream, and I don't know if it's the right decision, but I was worried about how much bandwidth that Jitsi was going to take, like how much CPU that that Jitsi is going to eat up because my experience has been it's been a little bit heavy on CPU usage, and so I've offloaded all the talking to YouTube to a machine back there that handles all the so I have the NDI plugin, so it takes the
Yeah.
it takes all the stuff and basically just ships it off over there, and then that kicks it out. So it's kind of like a Rube Goldberg setup. So I'm sure it's going to come crashing down at any time. So we'll find out, right?
No, I know the feeling. Like I had a lot of issues with trying to stream on a single box, and especially with games and such, it kind of becomes a bit of a problem. So I built the second PC with a capture card and everything. So all my sources go into the capture card and out to whatever display. And I have various audio routing, and it's a bit of a mess, but it's a stable mess. So I'll take it.
Yeah,
Sounds like something we'll need Steve's backup for.
Steve's very own. He probably needs something like that. I've missed the last few of his streams, and that's not something I'm proud of. But so also Steve
speaking
what? Go ahead.
So speaking of streams, I finally did one a while ago, but Biddle was a way longer while ago. So
I don't think I was invited, and I didn't. Are you a YouTube stream or like a Twitch?
YouTube stream.
YouTube stream. Man, I missed it. I must not be subscribed to you then, because I try to watch as many live streams of people in the community that I can latch onto. So, but I see.
I
Steve
guess the reason you.
Go ahead.
I guess the reason you probably didn't see me streaming is I've been streaming on Twitch, not YouTube.
But I do. Am I not? Because I get Twitch notifications. Maybe I'm.
You must not.
I'll have to check that.
See how you feel. It's all good.
See, well, not on purpose. Not on purpose.
No,
So Steve Mowest is also here. I appreciate you showing up, Steve. The other Steve.
Well, I had to show up when I saw that you were hosting a makeshift biddle here tonight.
Yeah,
low rent biddle.
Yeah, low rent. So I will never be as good as Rocco, but I thought I would. I miss hearing all the voices and having the discussion. That Linux lug. And so I thought, because Bash put the bug in my ear, that it might be kind of fun to do this. And if I look like
I thought it was because you're like a famous YouTuber now.
Not famous. If there was A and B level stars. Let's say like Rocco, he's probably like an A level because everyone knows Rocco. I'd probably be somewhere between Q and R. I would think. Not quite nothing, but pretty close to the bottom there.
I give you a solid N.
An N for Nate.
Yeah.
I've been listening to an awful lot of DLN Extend, so
oh yeah,
it's been good.
Well, good. No, I do enjoy doing that. I see.
And I still like your noodlings as well. Those are always entertaining.
I try to focus on the positives in the world because I realize that things are not always positive, and so I think it's just better to focus on that. At least for me anyway. I much prefer the positives. So what exciting things, Steve, have you been doing in the Linux world?
Well, a couple of things. Been pretty quiet online, but my son and I got accepted into the development team for MX, and that's mostly because my son is one of their code writers. So since he's a minor, I'm kind of along for the ride, you might say. And that's cool. Been really cool. Most of that involves me telling my son to get on to one of the coding projects that they want him to finish. And so that's been kind of fun doing that and being involved, a little bit more involved with MX. And I've been using MX now more as a daily driver. I have a spare machine that I have set up at work that I use virtually every day, actually, to get work done on. It's at my standing desk, and I've been enjoying that an awful lot. Using the Fluxbox incarnation of MX, which is fantastic.
What makes it fantastic?
I started a blog, and I've been enjoying that, but I have taken a little hiatus from that. Christmas is a little busy for me, and so I've been kind of caught up with things from Thanksgiving onward. But I'd like to get back to that, writing some more articles for my blog, Discover Floss. That's been a lot of fun. And
awesome.
I'm also kind of messing around with first generation Raspberry Pis. I'm trying to find a use for I have 2 first generation Raspberry Pis, and I just can't stand seeing my old computer hardware not doing anything. So I'm trying to find ways to put it to good use. I started one Pi using a Rune Player. I don't know if you've ever heard of that. It's a project where you can basically turn it into like a little jukebox. And that worked okay, but they've kind of stopped development on that. And so some of the features don't exactly work quite right. So I started looking into some other things, which have just taken me down all sorts of rabbit holes of different things I want to try on my little old Raspberry Pi Generation 1s that I have. I've got 2 of them, the Generation 1 with the Model B Plus that's got the 512 megs of RAM on the boards. So that's what I've been messing with.
There's a project that might interest you, and especially considering what your profession is. I get these emails from Instructables. I don't know if you've heard of Instructables.com.
Yep.
They have some great ideas for doing all kinds of interesting things. And one of them that I thought was particularly interesting was a chalkboard smart sign. I do have I did do a write up on that. Actually, it's on makerscorner.tech, and then I just kind of had a forward from my site to that. But it's a really neat idea. It's like it kind of combines the arts, the chalky, like doing like message signs, or like like if you have like a coffee, area, coffee nook, do like happy messages on there with your taking advantage of your chalk art skills, and then having it also like an embedded. It was a Raspberry Pi, a Pi 1. I'm quite confident could do what the Pi 0 can do. I think I could be wrong. I don't know.
Yeah,
I don't know
actually they're the same. Pi 1s and Pi 0s are exactly the same hardware, except for the Pi 0s are just putting it into a smaller package.
Okay, so that might actually be up your alley. Check it out, see if that's something that would that might suit your needs. I can see if I can find a link to that sometime while somebody else is talking. But
I think that's on your website, right? I think I was at your website and saw that because you mentioned that in your noodlings or something, didn't you recently?
I might have. I have a really terrible memory. I've been hit in the head too many times, I guess. So I don't remember when I did that, but I know I did. I know I did do that. So I wasn't sure.
That is a really good idea. I've been thinking of doing something like that for the home using Screenly. I started looking at that too, because you can kind of have like a message board that's automatically set up with Screenly, and then it'll kind of like rotate through different pictures, or it'll rotate through different websites. And so I've been looking at that, as well as maybe a possibility to set up kind of like a home center that would kind of flash our calendar as a family up every once in a while, so everybody kind of knows what everybody's doing. And then maybe family pictures on there too, and then kind of set it up. Mine would be really kind of cheesy looking, because I'd probably just take an old Raspberry Pi and attach it to an old monitor, because I got a bunch of that stuff just sitting around, and then just have that in the living room somewhere.
Yeah, I think I did talk about it on the. I may have talked about it on the I'll get the link. Chalkboard smart sign. I think that's what it was. Yeah, I'll put that in the YouTube chat there.
In the YouTube chat.
Yes. So if you want to capture that.
If you don't have it, Nate ID.
All right. So for me lately, I've been testing out OpenSUSE 15.3, the beta. It so far so good. It's upgrades went fine. One machine it did screw up, but that's because the hard drive died on me. But I won't blame OpenSUSE for that. But that's been good. As far as like the changes visually, I mean it's about the same. OpenSUSE is a very boring upgrade process, and I really appreciate that, because I don't have to worry about anything changing too drastically on me. But that's what I've been doing, just kind of testing different scenarios out. So I did virtual machine as well as actual hardware, and just kind of, saying what worked and what I tested for the, for the release manager. So that's what I have going on.
What are your thoughts on that new change that they're doing, offering like LEAP to SLE compatibility or something like that? Yeah, I don't understand it all, but apparently it would be like equivalent to what Red Hat used to be with CentOS?
Yes. So what I think is neat about that is they're basically almost identical now as far as like the binary rebuilds of it. It's identical, and so really all it really takes is for somebody like so let's say you are a sysadmin or whatever. You have clients. You have you're consultant, I guess, and you have clients that you have on OpenSUSE Leap. You start them on that, and if their needs change and they require something that's actually that has a service contract, then you can. It's just a matter of like flipping some switches, changing repositories, and it basically will use the sleeve repositories and then get the help from SUSE. So I think that's great. It actually what's great about it is that it takes less. SUSE is essentially doing all the boring parts then of maintaining a distribution, and then leaving the more fun parts up to the community to do. So that I think is a positive. I don't see a negative in it, unless somebody has an idea as to how that could be a negative. It seems to make a lot more sense. It does make OpenSUSE a lot more tied to SLE, to SUSE, but I don't see that as an issue, at least not at this point.
And I know you're kind of more into desktop Linux, but have you heard anything, because you're more connected with the OpenSUSE community, have you heard anything about their future plans for Rancher and SUSE? Because they bought Rancher apparently, and that seems like a rather interesting project to manage your Docker containers with.
Yeah, I do think that's interesting. What it really taught me was that somebody needs to learn Docker. This guy, and I like started playing with it a little bit, but I kind of got a little. I felt like I was a little over my head, and I think my attention span wasn't quite there for learning it. So I need to take some time and really understand it better. But I do think it's an interesting purchase. I guess we'll see what comes of that.
I guess you should indeed take the leap, like we did with OpenSUSE Leap.
I see what you did there.
Golem.
I see what you did there. Well done, well done. You must be an old man somewhere, or at least an old soul. I know you're not. Also, Plasma, KD Plasma 521 was released recently. I think I'm on 521.3. Has anybody been running Plasma as their desktop here?
You know it.
Yeah, I ended up with the update, of course, with Manjaro. So it was all of a sudden just I rebooted and the start menu's changed. I didn't realize it had actually come out.
Meanwhile, me over here having just pushed, it's like 521 to Phone OS a few days ago.
Did the 521 affect Farron OS at all as far as your work?
Yeah, I made some rather significant changes to the default layout and also gave all the layouts those margin separators that 5.21 introduced. Oh, and I also backported something from the new release that hasn't even been released yet, 522, being adaptive transparency.
What does that mean? What does it adapt to?
Panel goes opaque when window maximized.
Like for a moment, or it stays opaque?
Stays opaque until you unmaximize the window. Okay.
That's interesting. I'm not sure how I feel about transparencies, because I've played with them in the terminal, like a console. You can actually have it translucent, a little more translucent, and sometimes it makes things harder to see, but I think it looks cool, so I have like a little bit of transparency, but not a lot.
You may be familiar with said effect though if you've used Windows Vista before with Aero, or if you're someone who's used Phone OS Classic in the past as well, I guess.
Oh, so you're saying like
or
the window
as
border,
well.
The window border goes translucent, or stays transparent. Is that what it goes? What happens?
No, as in it's like the taskbar also going opaque in Vista when that happens.
Okay, so we're going back to
just the taskbar portion of that.
So we're going back to the oxygen theme then? that what you're saying?
No, I'm just.
Sort of.
I mean, that would be kind of nice to go back to skeuomorphism, I guess.
Yeah.
Not gonna lie.
Yeah, I'm kind of tired of the flat look myself, but whatever. I don't really care that much. So, Vash, you brought up as a possible show topic under Plasma, the con save. Have you played with that?
I have not got to play with that, but I do know that I'll probably be checking it out soon because I think I'm gonna wipe out one of my computers and probably take the config from one to another. So that's probably gonna be something I'm gonna try out here soon.
All right.
Oh,
So
yeah.
for the sake of the YouTube folk, I have that pulled up already. So this con save, you save your Plasma customization, and it's a CLI program that you can export all of your configurations. I've not played with this myself, but it looks like I could even use it. And then you can import it as well into another profile. So it'd be interesting to see how this works. I've not tried it all myself, but I do think it looks very interesting.
Oh, yeah. That reminds me, there was something I didn't mention, though, that also did in the 5.21 update. You know that newfangled kickoff thing? As in
Yes.
the new kickoff design?
Yes.
I decided, because why not to fork that menu and make a new FenOS applications menu out of it to replace
Oh.
simple menu. So that's now used in the 5.21 update in FenOS. Oh, and
That's
also, I replaced Latte Dock in the default layout with a plasma panel, so it's now even more lightweight on the default layout than it was before. So that's pretty cool stuff.
That is. I've never actually really understood the like why people like the latte dock so much. Can someone tell me what makes it so special? Like I've seen videos on it, and I don't really I don't know
It's
that
a
I understand
superior dock. Sorry.
Yeah, go ahead.
It's a superior dock program for plasma to plasma panels. It's just superior in practically every way, dock functionality wise.
Okay. And in what way? What makes it specifically superior? Like explain it to me like I'm
Well,
12 years old and
for one, it's actually meant to be used as a dock on plasma ones, which is more so meant to be used as panels instead.
okay.
And also, for example, if you have a Unity layout, you can benefit from features such as Unity style scrolling when the list is overflowing on the screen, and so on.
Okay. That's cool. I guess I wasn't really much of a Unity user, so I'm not sure all that went into that as far as that goes.
That, and also, it's way less BS to get it set up in certain layouts as well than Plasma's ones.
Okay. Now, what as far as managing so it kind of replaces then the taskbar with a dock, right? In a way, sort of.
No, it's technically an additional dock or panel, depending on what option you choose, to go alongside the Plasma ones.
Okay. So you would have both.
Yeah,
Taskbar
they
and a dock.
kind of just mix together, I suppose.
It's interesting.
Unless you just
Right,
remove one of them and just leave the other be, that is.
Okay. Yeah, I like keeping things as simple as possible, and I like all my information at the bottom of the screen. That's where I like to keep everything. But yeah, that's kind of that's what I enjoy as far as layout goes.
Bottom panel gang.
Yeah, I like nothing at the top and everything at the bottom. That's just the way I like it. even though my Amiga workbench did have a bar at the top and nothing at the bottom, but you know, whatever.
Oh, I miss Amiga.
I don't because I have it, but from time to time.
I still remember the day I put mine on a recycling trailer, and I think
Oh.
about that day often.
That hurts. It hurts a little bit. What was it? What did you send off to the scrapper in the sky?
I had a Amiga 2000 HD, and then I had that expansion card where you had the x86. So you basically had an IBM computer and a Amiga
The bridge
computer
card.
all in one. Yeah, the bridge,
Bridge
card.
card. Yeah. What year was that
Oh,
that you sentenced your Amiga to death?
Oh, that was 98.
Oh,
Yeah, 98.
if only I knew you in 1998.
If only I knew how much I would miss it, I would never have done that.
Have y'all
Yeah.
seen the Raspberry Pi 400 Amiga thing?
Yes,
Yes, that's pretty cool. I don't have one, but it looks pretty cool.
the Pi Amiga.
I think that's what they called it. Yeah.
Yeah, I've
Yeah, I
been
was
trying to
gonna
pull
say,
that
so-
torrent down, but nothing happening. It doesn't actually pull down.
Yeah, I was gonna say it's like Pi Omega is what you're talking about. Because even the young boy has heard about that.
Yeah, I've never tried that where you can run like an Amiga emulator on the Pi. Is that what you're referring to?
Yeah,
Yes.
it basically is the fastest Amiga you could have right now. But it lacks, you know, there's a certain charm that that the actual machine has. I mean, it's actually a nice keyboard too. Again, it's not clicky, but it's still nice. I don't know. I thought about getting one of those vampire cards. Have you seen that? The like the vampire version something. It's a
No, I haven't
module.
seen
It's a module that goes over the like it attaches on the CPU, so it vampire it takes over the CPU essentially, and it basically will make the Amiga 600 There's I have one for the 1200 too, but at the time when it came out, the Amiga 600 was then the fastest computer, which is funny because I learned recently, like in the last few years, that the Amiga 600 was the worst computer that they built. But it was my first one, so I didn't know any better. And there wasn't an internet at the time, just bulletin board services.
Yikes.
Yikes. You never enjoyed a bulletin board service? Yeah. Those are fun back in the day.
Man, I remember when I was young, I would go on BBSs to like get cheat codes for video games, and like I don't know, roughly half the time they were wrong, but it was still fun.
Yeah, I never use it for cheat
Just-
codes.
I mean, you just have to know certain codes like Konami code and you saw it, aren't you?
No,
Well,
that
that's
was
for
more
the
than that, but
Nintendo.
yeah.
I think I remember it was Descent that I played at the time, like online through, modem. And
Yeah.
And so it was I got the cheat codes for that. I think I did get it off of BBS, or somebody did. Maybe somebody I knew did it. I can't remember how that came about, but that was definitely from a bulletin board service because that was pre-internet.
Yeah, I think ours were Prodigy BBSs is what we used.
Oh yeah, good times.
Yeah. That was a minute ago.
So I wonder. I saw Run with the Dolphin says he had an old BBS. Did you run your own Dolphin? Did you run your own BBS? I guess people still run a BBS off of the Commodore 64. People actually have Commodore BBSs for Commodore computers to dial into. I don't know what kind of traffic they get, but that would be pretty wild to have running still. A almost 40-year-old machine still chugging away on the internet, or chugging on the network anyway, a network. I think they're connected to the internet at this point, but it's funny nonetheless.
I just remember my parents like groaning about how much it costs to like just connect to these things. I'm like, come on, guys! Like, this is the future. They're like, yeah, but it's costing us, so let's cut it out.
The future's costing us.
Yeah, it hasn't even got here, and it's already in debt.
Right. Yep. My parents actually ended up getting me my own phone line so I could get on the because I kept going on. It was irritating them so much dialing in these different BBSs that they got my own phone line. I thought that was pretty sweet.
That is
I like
really
to remember the
sweet.
number. Yeah.
I remember getting on BBSs was so expensive, so I would actually put on my tennis shoes and walk to a person's house and take my floppies with me so I could get the shareware for my Amiga computer copied off of her Amiga so I could use it on my Amiga.
So you used the sneaker net.
I did.
Yeah.
I was about to say, sneaker net at its finest.
Yep. It's
I
pretty
remember
secure.
going down to a computer shop here locally to us, and they had like the peg board with all the various floppy disks, and if you're lucky, you get like a nice little pamphlet or something with it. And oftentimes, like I'd bring one home and be like, oh, you need the manual because there's like some rudimentary copy protection or whatever, and I call up the shop and they're like, I don't know, that's all we got from the guy. So like, well, thanks.
That was a waste.
Well, that's like what was it? 688 attack sub. You had to enter something from the manual to get it to start.
Yeah, it was like, what is the fourth word in the third paragraph on page 83? That's like, dog? Nope.
I forget what game it
Don't
was I
copy
had.
that floppy, right?
That's right. Don't copy that floppy. That's a Weird Al song, isn't it?
No,
There's
it was originally like a PSA that the Software Publishers Association made with like a dude rapping about don't copy that floppy. You're thinking of don't download this song.
Oh
You
yeah. I have to
wouldn't
get
download
the
a house.
I would buy I think there's I can't remember the name of the magazine, but there was some Amiga magazine that I would buy. Like I'd select a bunch of discs that had different like shareware or different applications on it, and so I still have a lot of 3.5-inch discs of just tons and tons of software. That's from a lot of it didn't work too, and I don't know why, but whatever. It was still
Yeah, the
fun.
question I always ask myself, usually whenever I don't have a network connection, is like, what did I do on a computer without an internet connection? Like, what did we do? And like, obviously you'd have to have like bespoke software packages to do things and all that, and like things didn't connect to anybody, and it's just interesting thinking back on it. Like, if I wanted an encyclopedia, I'd have to get like an encyclopedia CD-ROM and like put it in and look things up. And...
Yeah, I got the first computer we got came with all that edutainment software. So like it came with like 50 CDs that had like encyclopedia stuff on it and other random stuff like that. And I mean that was all the information. That was the most information we had in the house at the time because there wasn't internet. There wasn't an internet yet. Well, maybe it was out there, but it was really early.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I remember, popping in Encarta 96 or 95, one of those. Just being like, yeah, let's look up basketball because that has a video on it. I want to watch a video on the computer.
Yeah.
Well, I'm going to have to call it a night. Nate, thank you very much for hosting this and getting us all together again.
Well, hey, you're welcome. I mean, you have to forgive the lack of professionalism that Rocco provides, but I do appreciate you showing up, and share and break my heart a little bit with your Amiga story. So that was good.
Oh, I probably got
Tonight.
other retro computing stories that would break your heart too. So.
Oh, good. Yeah, we need that for next time. Every
All right.
We'll expect for every show that we do that you have to break our hearts just once, at least mine.
All right, take care, Nate.
All right, we'll see you.
And everybody else.
Later,
Bye-bye.
man.
See you.
Later. Yeah, some sleepy in the chat said leaving stuff to download overnight only to be thwarted by call waiting in the morning.
Yes.
Oh yeah.
Yep.
Or
Yep.
somebody
That sounds like pain. Also,
you ever-
it's like, come on, peeps, come in here. Or it's like, don't be chickens. We need more people. This is feeling a little lonely, only being 5 of us.
It's not the usual bit of like 30 something people. I'm okay with that though.
Yeah, well, I'm
Like,
I'm not as
come on,
popular
we
as
have
Rocco
Sleepy
today.
and Connor in this chat. Like,
Mitchell says
yeah.
he was more productive going to the library and using the card catalog and reading books and writing papers on the PC without the internet. That's yeah, I can see that. I don't know if I'm more or less productive. I just remember getting in trouble because I didn't like I usually mess something up with the card or I'd always mess something up in the library. I was excited when they finally had it digital, so I couldn't get in trouble anymore. But the school didn't really keep their things secure. That's a whole other discussion. I'm sure they're much better about network security today than they were in 1990, whatever it was.
We try to be.
So, yeah, I'm sure. I'm sure you do. Well, now you have like what you're all like Chromebooked out now. You have everything.
Man,
locked.
it's a mix, but yeah, we got some Apple devices, some Chrome, some Windows devices, just various things.
Yeah. The it was like Windows. Let's say Windows 95, 8. I don't know. I know that I was the first class that went from typewriters to Windows 3.1.1 computers. Like I was the very first. Like I did not take typing. I took something else, keyboarding and Office technology, something like that. And yeah, I remember Microsoft. It wasn't Word. It was something. Works. Is that it? Could be Microsoft Works.
The cheaper one, yeah.
Yeah, the cheaper one.
Microsoft Works.
Yep. That was my foray into Office software. That actually I thought it was pretty good at the time.
We had Microsoft Works at home because it came with our computer, and the problem was the Works files couldn't be read by Word and vice versa. So whenever I would type up something at home, and then I'd have to bring it to school, they couldn't open it. And every teacher's rule was if they can't open it, it's a 0. So.
Oh man. Could
yeah.
you like? It's like RTF or something like not RTF. Real. Some other format.
They did have the
do.
RTF, but yeah,
Okay.
that's what I ended up having to do, and yeah. And then they get confused when it opens in WordPad instead of Word, and they're like, I don't know what this is. What is this? Like, it's my paper. Like, chill out. But yeah, and the biggest problem I found was as I went through school, floppy disks became cheaper and cheaper and less reliable. And so by the time I was in like middle school in like the late 90s, early 2000s, like that was awful because you'd put your document on a floppy disk and you didn't know if it was going to make the trip. Because you could bring it to school and it just won't work. And it's like, man, I get tired of this. So I realized that they were starting to be unreliable as the newer ones came out. So I would like take old ones that had like old games or something that I never played and just overwrite those because they were more reliable.
Also, isn't the or did like everyone else hear happy shickle noises when Adam said Chromebox earlier?
Yeah, I did hear something shaking.
Yeah, that was
Shickle was shaking with excitement. I could hear a Mini Cooper speeding by in excitement. It was exciting.
So I wasn't the only one who heard that. That's good.
I remember in college I had to buy a zip disk because I was doing CAD, so a lot of design on like Inventor or something like that. And so I had to buy yeah, I thought it was crazy how much you could put on there. It's like, this is like 100 discs. Woo! So, how times have changed. So, Steve. Welcome, Steve. I can hear you. Yep, you sound great. So what is your, how is it you, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you're from? Is that what you say?
Yep.
All right.
Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you're from.
I'm so glad you said that. You're not in your normal spot. Are you in the kitchen? Did you
Nope.
get banished?
Yeah, my son's up on the main rig.
Okay. You got booted? Is that what happened?
I got booted.
Yeah. So I guess then is that how we know what the pecking order is, or are you just being nice?
I'm just dad in the house.
Somebody's
gotcha.
got to hold up the bottom of the totem pole.
Yeah.
And Monica, how are you?
Hello, I'm very good. Just finished a late dinner, so I figured that y'all didn't need to see me having a surprisingly good chicken teriyaki bowl from Panera, which very overpriced chicken teriyaki bowl from Panera.
I don't know why, but Panera is so weird because like once you have it, you're like, this is good, and then you go again, and then you're like, I don't like it so much. I'm in a dilemma.
It's one of those
More
things you got to space out.
More specifically with the soup.
Yeah, and then they changed their recipes like 3 or 4 years back, and I was just, I was so angry. I think I stopped going to them for a while because they changed the recipe of like the chicken and wild rice soup, and I'm like, you horrible people! And I am keeping this G-rated, Nate, just so you know.
I appreciate that.
Yeah, but yes, but it's one of the. There's other delis that like the big chain ones, like Jason's and McAllister's, that if we want something vaguely healthy-ish, it's nice to go to, but there's none of them near us. Especially like we lost the 2 Jasons closest to us during the pandemic, so yeah. Which stinks because you could get the little cones of ice cream there after your meal, and it's kind of awesome. Yeah. If
Is
y'all
that the
haven't.
Jason's the sandwich shop?
Yeah, they were, because they did sandwiches and like baked potatoes and all kinds of stuff.
Yeah, we had 1 or 2 around here. The free ice cream.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
The free ice cream was just, it was so good. So yeah. Guess what? Yeah, we're talking about food now. I do that.
Well, technically speaking, that is technology. It does take some form of technology to prepare food. So everything from a knife. A knife is a form of technology that we do have, and we can, enjoy using on a regular basis. And I have a Linux machine in my kitchen that helps me prepare meals. So to me, food and Linux kind of go hand in hand. Especially since a lot of recipes are open source.
Can't do Linux if you're not,
if you're not fed, not caffeinated. I feel that we are summoning a Tyler here, so
hopefully we have to talk coffee. You have to say coffee like 3 times in a row.
Coffee,
and then maybe do a little like coffee dance too, or something like that, and then he'll show up. I don't know if that's how it works or not.
I don't know. He must not be too much into coffee. He never shows up for the stream.
Well, he might be busy.
It might coincide with work, so yeah, it'll be generous. But thank you for doing this. This is awesome. Miss this on Saturday nights.
I want to give Vash the actual credit for this because he is the one that put the bug in my ear.
Yay.
I won't do the Star Trek joke again, but it is Vash is really the reason I did it. He actually said something to me on Monday. I wasn't sure if I was going to be able to do it at that time, but I did. I said, "Oh yeah, we can do it." I'm like, I don't know if I can do it, and but I made it work out. So I did
awesome.
I did some scenes. These aren't Michael Tennell level scenes. Because he's like Tennell. I don't have to say for him to show up. Yeah, but he does a lot of really neat things. I don't have any of that neat stuff. I'm not really like I wouldn't call myself a power user in OBS. In fact, I just installed it on that machine back there again for the first time today.
Oh wow!
And so I was like, hopefully this is all going to work out. I already made the announcement I was going to do it. I'm like, hopefully it works out. Because but I use the snap for this machine and that machine and this machine.
The snap is amazing.
Yeah.
Snaps,
and by the way,
OBS, best OBS.
Yeah, yes, it's stunning, and it's so great the development has come from the whole gaming stream that we've been doing with it, which has just
Yeah.
been fantastic
Just
and so much fun. But yeah, it's the functionality is stunning.
bar
Yeah,
none, best OBS.
And I think there's a coffee machine and a sink in there somewhere too.
I bet there is.
Also, I've heard that the secret to Michael Tinnell's good streams is that he has a stall in there.
A stool, yes.
Oh,
I should have. My stool's
That is
upstairs.
true. I
didn't
should
have it
have
here.
brought it, Nate. You should have brought it down.
Well, I have to try and ensure that the next one is better. Because usually I'm not actually good at these things, like pretty much anything actually. So if today is fair, the next
give yourself a
time
little more credit.
self-deprecating humor is my favorite. So if I do a fair job this time, hopefully I do better than fair next time. So I gotta leave something there for next time. Whatever.
Yeah, you're gonna have
whatever
an
next time
exit
is.
sign, right?
Yes. So I don't have an open sign, but I do have an exit sign someplace I can light up. I don't know what I did with it, but I think it'd be funny to have an exit sign instead.
you just
So-
need a camera on your house, right? And just
I could.
Wow.
So speaking of that house thing, I should actually share now that it actually went live. But there's a one of the songs I did for Christmas this year was actually done for it's a song that another YouTuber has. I don't know if you've heard of Retro Recipes. It's he's a more like a vintage type. I really love his style. This Paraphractic. He is a really neat guy. Because I enjoy his work, I am a patron of his. Patron. How do you say that? Anyway, but I asked permission to
Patreon.
use. I'm a Patreon, but I patron his Patreon. Anyway,
Yeah.
I did a he has like a lot of retro stuff that he does. The things that I think he did that were most amazing, he does like these extreme refurbishments. So there was like a Commodore 64 that looked like it was just utterly smashed. Like it looked like the best thing you can do is just put it into the dumpster. And he has this idea that nothing is unrefurbishable. And so he refurbished it, and it looks
Sounds like
like
my
brand
dad.
new. Yeah,
Yeah.
your dad. You must have an awesome dad. Is his name Paraphractic?
No,
anyway,
his name is David, but yeah.
Okay. Well, he just hit the 100. This Retro Recipes just hit the 100,000 mark, and he actually did he featured the song that I did. I did a Christmas song to one of his called "Frozen Memories," and I won my city's competition for it as well. And so he actually featured it in one of his shows, and I just put the link in the in YouTube. But yeah, so it's like it just takes up a little bit of it of one of his show. But I really like his style. He's funny. He's kind of very dad jokish, and I really enjoy it. But anyway, yeah. So I won the town's competition because I had music to my Christmas lights. So got a $100 gift
Oh
card
yeah.
for it.
It's like, speaking of Michael Tinnell, I just realized
Here?
the way we could get him in here. It's like you just have to put some posters behind you of his favorite Star Trek film, and he'll be coming in here with speed to tell you about how bad that film is.
Well, I have Spock with the cat and the Enterprise D. So does that work?
Well,
it's got to be Voyager.
There, it has to be promo material that makes it clear it's his favorite one, so that he definitely sees it's that one, and then comes in all angry about how it's that one and it's bad in there. It's like it's the
Wow.
perfect plan.
Monica, the picture of the Enterprise D that you have, I believe that's the one that was like a centerfold in one of the magazines from years ago.
I think it was probably inspired by that. This is from a local artist, and I will try to put his website in the link called Happy Little TARDIS. And he does the cons here in Atlanta. And he just takes like Bob Ross esque photos and puts little TARDISes in them, but he also does other fandoms, and Star Trek is one of them. And so we finally started putting up all our awesome art that we've picked up from Hulanta, which is sadly now not going, Conjuration, which is like the general magic fantasy Disney con. I really want to start going to Treklanta. And then I've been to Dragon Con once and it was amazing and I can't wait to go back. I'm trying to convince us to get a community booth there for the tech track, but girl
That'd be
can
cool.
dream. That would actually be awesome.
I haven't been to a Star Trek
Nice.
convention since the 90s, so it's been at least 10 years.
Oh, they're so much fun. Oh wait, I think it's been slightly more than 10 years.
I said at
I
least.
know it's hard
at
to-
least.
At least, yeah. I know. It's like they had a thing on USA Today talking about how people got into classic comedies over the pandemic, and they're talking about like Family Matters and Friends, and I'm like, first of all, how dare you? It's like anything you grew up watching. It's so weird to think that that's classic now.
Yeah, so I actually don't consider anything 90s vintage because I don't.
Mhm.
I refuse
Yeah.
to. So like to me, like the GameCube is still modern. The Nintendo GameCube, that's still a modern system. Because if I start to admit that it's old, then it really messes with my
Yeah.
head, and I'm just not going to. Yeah, I'm just not going to go there.
And then it just feels sad. I know.
And then you just realize that lyrics itself is old.
Nope.
Yeah.
It's only been around a couple years. Been doing great.
It's just like, no. the
Remember, it's
classics
even
are-
older than Windows, isn't it?
Actually, no, because Windows came out. Version 1 was like that was late 80s, I believe, wasn't it? I thought. I don't know. I could
I
speculate.
think that
Wild
MS-DOS
speculation.
actually. I think that MS-DOS actually is licensed under GPL. I'm not sure about it, but I think it actually is.
Windows version 1. I think what's funny is, are you familiar with the FreeDOS project? The it's like the open source reimplementation of DOS.
Heard of it.
Yeah, they've now been doing DOS longer than Microsoft has been doing DOS, and I think that that's funny.
FreeDOS does what Microsoft doesn't.
Oh, goodness.
Boom.
Wow, you stole that from Sega, all right.
Indeed, I shamelessly stole it from Retro Sega, for sure.
That's funny.
And not to get too off track, but they actually put out a documentary about Console Wars, the book. If anybody's familiar with that, they put out the actual documentary. But it's on CBS All Access, so that's unfortunate.
I think I have CBS All Access because I got it for Picard, and I've been.
Isn't that now? What is it? Paramount Plus?
Yeah, I think so.
Or is Paramount Plus its own thing?
No, it's basically CBS Access because we all got all the notifications like, oh, this will now be Paramount Plus, like HBO Go or HBO. Whichever one you had, if you had HBO through your cable, we got all the things. It's like, oh, this will now be HBO Max. It's like, okay, fine. So, which we really only watch when there's, I think I was only watching it when like for the last season of his Dark Materials and then for Chernobyl before that. And that was pretty much it. So,
Did you watch
Well,
Justice
if you
League
were-
yet?
I
What's
have
it?
not
Justice
seen it
League?
yet.
Nope.
Yeah, the
Snyder Cut.
Zack Snyder cut. I'm watching it for the second time already.
oh, cool.
How are
It
you
is.
liking
It
it?
is a good. It makes the theatrical release look like it was lame. It was. This makes a lot of sense, and it doesn't seem like 4 hours. It's actually a very good movie.
We may watch it tomorrow. But I was gonna say, if you do have CBS All Access or Paramount Plus or whatever they're calling it now, definitely look up Console Wars documentary. It's,
Okay.
It's a
Will
lot of
do,
interviews
cool.
with some people who were key players in the Sega Nintendo battle in the early '90s. It was worth a watch in my opinion. But there's also a book if you want to read the book instead. But both are really good.
There's in fact, his name is Joe. Played this. He's in the chat, in the YouTube chat. He turned me onto this on Amazon. It was oh shoot, it just escaped me. There's a series on Amazon that had like it was the gaming called the Gaming Years, I think it was, and it kind of goes from it goes from 1980 to I think 1989 or 1990 of like the history of gaming. It's really very cool because every episode, I think it's like 9 or 10 episodes. It goes into different like different eras of like gaming. So they feature the Commodore 64 from like 1983, I think what it was, and they go like into like how big the Nintendo was and um why it was so impactful. But it has a lot of different YouTubers. So like uh, LGR, Lazy Game Review, he's in there, and there's a bunch of other like YouTubers that I have no idea who they are. But anyway, so it's a really good docu series, I guess you want to call it. That has a really good information on video games and arcade games and a little bit of pinball stuff in there too, which I think is pretty cool. But it's really interesting to me, like and I said this, I don't know where I said this, but the like emulators and the all the efforts that go into like emulating the Game Boy to like the Super Nintendo and the NES, all of them, Commodore 64, PET, all that stuff. To me, I think that's important because it's a museum preserves culture, right? And I do think whether my grandma might not believe this, although she's gone, that video games are now a part of our cultural history, and I think it's something that should be preserved. Yes, it is digital. It's digital history, but it's still a part of our history. Things that we grew up with, that in some ways kind of shaped maybe our vocational goals. Or like we went like I love computers. Well, I love some aspects of computers because of the Commodore 64. So it is because of the Commodore 64 that I got into playing with computers and my interest in understanding how they work and breaking them and everything else. And so that, like, to me that's kind of the it's a very special thing, and I think it's important for my own personal history because of the what it gave to me. And I have a very great memory still of the first time that I successfully put in the put in the load command to play a game. It was called Fire Ant. I did it. My mom and we did it together, and she liked that game, Fire Ant. You can download it, run on Vice or something. But it's a fun game, and even my kids like playing that game. There's still that old stuff is still very playable, very enjoyable today. I think not everything. Some things don't hold up. Well, racing games not so much, but a lot of things do.
Yeah, that was one of the on one of my trips home. My family's all back in California, and my husband and dad and I. There's these, what is it called, like retro neon arcade or neon retro arcade. I can't remember which order it goes in, but it's one of those places like where you go. It's $10 for an hour, and you just get as many lives as you want. And so we were playing like our original gaming system growing up in the early 80s was an Atari. And
Mm-hmm.
so it was like Miss Pac-Man, Pac-Man, Frogger, Cubert. And so they had a lot of those games, and I heard this really sweet story from my dad about when before I was born, there was a 7-Eleven down the street from the apartment where my mom and dad lived, and he would go and hang out and play Pac-Man or Pac-Man at night, and my mom would go down to say goodbye to him, and she or say goodnight to him, and she would say goodnight to my dad and goodnight to Pac-Man. So, which I just thought was darling. But yeah, it's just it is as a recovering academic and historian, I think that you're exactly right. It's so much a part of our culture, and it's one of those things that even for people who might not play, it still kind of impacts their, like for vernacular kind of terms and people so that you can still talk about it and use the language even if you've never played one of the games. And so it's when we can all get together in person, there's a guy who comes to Dragon Con in August, and he just sets up this giant retro arcade that's completely free.
Now
Oh,
that's cool.
yeah. Yeah, have not gone yet, but I'm like, okay, when we're in person, I'm going to go. And evidently, it's just this little this oasis of calm and never having to have an extra order. So,
Yeah, there's a arcade, like there arcades are just not a thing, but there's an arcade about 45 minutes north of me, I think. Actually, this Joe played this. He told me I met him there. They have pinball machines, lots of pinball machines, and I love a good pinball. I own one, but I need to fix it. Anyway, yeah, it's pinball is just fun. I mean, you're throwing a metal ball around this enclosure, and it's going to break something, which is why mine needs to be fixed. It broke something. But
oh no.
but it's just yeah, that's what they do. They just break things. I mean, you're flinging a metal ball around violently, so something's bound to change inside of it. But anyway,
Yeah.
there's it's arcade that I've been to that it's a lot of fun. I can't remember if he had to buy tokens or what it was there. Joe might remember if he hears what I'm saying. He probably walked off because he doesn't care. But he actually has a really good channel. Joe played this. He's got a lot of a lot of really good video game reviews. That Classic Arcade 2.0 is what the place is called, with a K, Classic with a K. So
Awesome.
it's a neat, and it's in I forget where it is, Paw Paw, Michigan, or Gobles or something like that.
Yeah, yeah. I was trying to think of where in the States you were. I know it's, just don't go there during your rivalry week, but we had some friends of ours who they have a pinball machine in their basement and it was broken, so they took a vacation up to Ohio because I guess there's a guy there who that's pretty much all he does is fix broken pinball things. Theirs was, it needed a lot of electronic work though, so it kind of needed to be refurbished, but I just thought it was adorable that they pretty much took a vacation centered around fixing their pinball.
Nice.
It was kind of awesome.
That's very cool. There's a I'll put a link in the chat for Joe played this. If you like retro games, he's got some very he has a very quirky sense of humor that makes me laugh a lot. But I laugh at a lot of things. So he I lost train of thought. What video games? Oh, there's a whole community around preserving arcade video games. It is and they have there's modules and such now that they've these universal modules, so you can actually at home you can play these video games and hook controllers up to and everything else. It's a pretty amazing scene, really, of all the stuff they're doing now in that in that space. I'm interested in seeing how that's a whole nother world I know very, very little about, actually. But it's neat to see what people are doing, in all spaces, really.
Mm-hmm.
But so maybe go back to Linuxy stuff. Has anybody? What do people do for file synchronization these days? What services do we use? Are we tied to the the Google and the Dropbox?
I guess.
What do you mean
I do a
outside the
little.
house? Outside the home network?
Sure. Yeah. What do you do? What do you do for that?
Google.
I do a little
What do you
bit
do
on
to
Google,
sync?
but most of the stuff I do is more internal on the network, as opposed to anything else. I may have a few things that I throw up on a Google Drive or something just to, in case I need to share them with somebody or something like that. But I don't put a whole lot out there, actually.
Yeah. In the home, I use LAN share between the computers in the house.
Mm-hmm.
It's simple and it works. I was using SyncThing for a while, and first couple of computers set it up real well, and the third and fourth were like, it was real hard. I don't know what was happening. So I was looking for something simple and ran across LandShare. Hasn't been updated in a few years, but it works perfectly for what I need.
How does it work?
If you want to share a file, you bring it up on have it up on both computers, and then basically it looks, if you have 4 computers, say, you look for the computer that you want to send it to, and you select that computer, and it sends it.
Yeah, I'm mostly a SyncThing for like personal stuff, which is a lot. But like I have my machine I'm using here. This is my older machine I purchased in 2017. It's a Latitude, Dell Latitude. Great machine, still love it. I put a CPU in it that is actually larger than what should be put inside there according to the TDP rating, but it's still working. So if the stream goes offline, you know why. And then I have a my newer machine, which was a gift to me from my former employer after they let me go for downsizing. It was like just before Christmas I got this new machine, and they let me go in July. So the nice machine is an HP EliteBook. At first I didn't really care. Actually, I left it in a box for a good week until my DLN Extend co-host Wendy called me a Michael, as in Michael Tennell.
Wow.
And so like she says, "You are being like Michael. What is the matter with you?" And I go, "Okay, I'll open it up. Looks nice." But I didn't do anything with it for a while. Go ahead.
The newer EliteBook, or
Yeah, it's a 10th generation Core i5. So, but it's really nice because you can very easily work on it. It has a panel with captive screws in the bottom, so you just take it out, just 5 screws, and then it kind of pops off. You can add memory. It had one open slot, so I put a 32 gig SIM in there. SODIMM. SIM is what they used in the 90s, so I keep saying that. SODIMM, DDR4 SODIMM, and then I put in a larger NVMe storage in it, like SSD thing. Looks like an oversized stick of bubblegum, and put a 1 terabyte in there, and so actually now it's actually my most powerful system, but it's also the smallest in my house. But I take that with me because it's really thin, and it has a smart card reader in there, so I can use it for my other occupation that I have. So I can just pop in my ID in there, and then I'm good to go. But yeah, so that's been nice. And so I have SyncThing between this one, like pretty much all my files, like my documents, my pictures, a few other folders as well, like a few like the main folders. I think music folder. I could bring up SyncThing and tell you right now what it is.
Cool.
But a lot of things are synced between that. Also, my server behind me, and it's nice because if I do something like whatever I do on one machine, then I'll automatically have it on another. And I would say it's probably about 99.95% good. There are some things that just like refuse to sync, and I don't really know why. But
yeah, that's that would have. It's like a small photo would take forever to transfer from one computer to another, and others will go real quick. So that's why I just looked and I found LandShare, and it fits my needs. I'll make a lot of times I'll be down on my laptop here, and I'll be making the thumbnail for my stream, and then I just send it to the main computer that has my OBS on it.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's kind of embarrassing how much I will occasionally use Telegram as a file transfer from my phone to my computer.
I mean,
Yep.
it
This,
works.
I've got this little my saved messages. I'm like, yeah, I need that photo.
That's funny.
It's easy. Yeah.
That's funny. Yeah, I've done it too. Telegram. Telegram is my if I need it now, that's what I use. But if I'm more passive, I'll just use SyncThing. And again, for the most part, it's pretty much just fine.
Yeah. I don't know what's running our home, like our just internal kind of home share. It does have a great Star Trek name. We call it Memory Alpha.
Nice.
Yep.
So my network, my SSID is LCARS.
Oh.
So
Sweet. See, except the only thing is that my newer computers are all Expanse theme, so I'm on the Rocinante now. My little Raspberry Pi 400 is the Razorback, and
Nice.
my work ThinkPad is the Canterbury. So
Was the Canterbury one that got blown? That the Razor Crest came up?
remember
What is
the
it called?
can't. Yeah, that
Yep,
it got blown up in the first episode.
Yeah.
Spoilers.
Yeah. I think that's part of the
Yeah.
trailer. So,
Yeah.
so not to derail onto sci-fi again, but so I've not seen the new Expanse. Like, there's been another season that came out in the last yearish or so.
It's so good.
All right, so I watched the first up until that point, first 3 seasons, I think.
Yeah.
And I even like kind of quasi binge watched them. Like I had like as I'm folding laundry or whatever, I was watching them. But at when I was done watching it though, I had kind of like this like sad feeling afterward. So I just put on Star Trek: The Next Generation to kind of like as a palate cleanser.
It is kind of, it's good to have something happy to go after it, because it is, and especially getting up to this current season that just finished, you are going to need all the happy fluffy bunny TV in between episodes, because it is emotionally brutal, but it is just, it's so well done. So
Yeah, well-written
yeah.
story is important.
Exactly. And I do love that it started out as a homebrewed role-playing game, basically around around a couple of guys' tables, and then their wives got involved and started running what became the series plot. So, which is just, kind of awesome.
That's wild. Yeah. That's really wild. Yeah. I mean, it is a well-written series. I mean, that's undeniable. It really is. Really is well written.
I haven't seen it.
I mean, I recommend it, but it is a little bit it can be brutal to watch at times.
Yeah, it's kind of brutal in that sense of like emotionally soul-wrecking, the way some the Battlestar Galactica reboot episodes were. Yeah.
But it's also like really hard science sci-fi.
With the exception of, the times that they break the laws of physics, but they do that on purpose.
Right. And then in the book they talk a lot more about that.
Yeah. And there's some things that they do, like with some of the gravitational slingshot maneuvers that are just, oh my god, it's absolutely beautiful. It's like, I love shows that don't have inertial, as much as I love Star Trek, not having inertial dampeners means that they have to take this stuff a lot more seriously.
Yeah. Well, like the maneuvers to like slow down, how they flip the thing around.
Yeah. Exactly. And also, I love that their ship is a whole bunch of coffee addicts. I don't have it on me, but I actually went and ordered the Esma Street Cup, which is the cup that they use on the Rossi. Yeah.
That's
Talk
cool.
about themed food. It's a thing.
There was I think it was toward the end of whatever the last season was that I watched. I'm not sure actually when it was in the series now, because it's been a while since I watched it. But when they depressurized the ship, which I thought was really kind of wild to think about. So they depressurize it so that they don't have a massive like hull breach type situation. And the way in one of like the ship just got totally Swiss cheesed.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like, to me, I'm thinking to myself, how do you really effectively repair that? Because I mean, I don't know if you've ever done any welding before. I mean, you have to have really good welds with really good, heat penetration. And there's actually, there's a science to how you actually have to put those seams together to make sure it actually properly seals. I mean, that's no small feat. I mean, sure, it's not impossible. Speaking of coffee. Speaking of coffee, we got, I think.
Yay! And lots of people are talking about the expanse in
Yep.
the channel. Well, if anyone ever wants to do, I don't know, like a group watch along, so people who haven't seen it can see it, and people who need to catch up can catch up. I'd be interested in doing that. Just saying.
I have no idea how you would do that. That sounds like voodoo to me. Black magic.
You can do things like Scener. I have a friend we're watching The Terror on Hulu now, which again, awesome show, super dark and a little bit gorier, but it runs on, I know it runs on Chrome. I haven't tested it on Chromium yet, but it's one of those extensions that basically lets you sync up, and then lots of services like I know Hulu does, and I don't know if Prime does, which is where the Expanse lives now, have internal sync ups where everyone needs their own account, but it lets you have a watch party where everybody's things are synced. Or you could just do what we did with the Mandalorian watch party with Cassidy and Dan and the and them, where we just counted down. We all had it on pause and we counted down from 10, and then we pressed play and then watched it, and then we just texted and did gifs, and it was fun. Uh-oh. Nate, I think
My
you're
bad. The my kids were making a lot of noise up there, so I thought I would mute it so that we didn't hear the dance party they're having apparently.
That's okay. I'm
That they're
stunned
having
that
right
none
now.
of you can hear our upstairs neighbors and their regular child dance party up there.
But I was gonna say the Mandalorian I thought was probably the best Star Wars. I almost said Star Trek. The best Star Wars.
Ooh.
Use the Force, Harry. Anyway,
Yes.
that's use the Force. Anyway, so the but it was very well written. I like the crisis of conscience that the Mandalorian had. I forget his actual name, not Mando, but
Din Djarin.
Din Djarin. What it was, yeah.
Mhm.
But because he kept having those like flashbacks to like how his child, how he was rescued as a child, and how like it impact that was like it was kind of the driving force into why he did what he did with whatever the child's name was.
Grogu.
Grogu, yeah.
Yeah.
Good with names. Good with names, you can tell. On full display.
That's okay, because like if these were actual people, I would have no idea what their names were, but fictional characters, great.
At least got something, right?
Yeah. Yeah. And so we haven't seen the first episode of Falcon and Winter Soldier, but we did do a few watch parties and then talked afterwards with friends watching WandaVision. So I hope that they keep these ways to link up and watch things together with people, because yes, we're going to get to be in person more, but for those of us who still are going to live in different states, we kind of would like to be able to watch things together and have it be that experience, because it's just there's something just so much better to being able to like react to people, react to something together, or to chat afterwards and go, "Oh my god, that was amazing," or blah blah blah.
You know the term YOLO. You know what that means?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
You only live online. Yeah. So anyway,
Yeah.
just something to think
Yeah.
about. I do live online quite a bit, but I do a lot of manual labor lately, so I'm not as online as I usually have been in the past. But
Mm-hmm.
it's all right. I don't mind manual labor actually.
No, it's good. I really wish um I wish that my current position had a little more of that, but I'm not quite sure how that would fit in with my job with my job description without doing things in person.
Right.
So
Yeah.
That would be tough. But I think that once we have, we're hoping get a bigger place this fall or late summer sometime. And one of the things I want to do when we get a place that has a yard is start gardening. So I
I
just,
have done. Yeah, I've done like last year. I did quite a bit of gardening. Hopefully, I'll have a bigger garden this year. I'd like to. I actually have a little aquaponics thing right now. I don't know if you,
awesome.
It's an educational thing. It was actually a gift for my sister for my kids, but I think I like it more than the kids do. But
That's convenient.
yeah. So this in the fish tank is actually filtered by the plants that are growing on top. So like I'm growing like wheatgrass
That's
in it right now.
awesome.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So it filters the water, keeps it mostly clean, except we did have an issue where the smallest child like pulled a bunch of it out. So now the ecosystem is a little bit quite not right because he did it not just to one section but to two, and
Oh no.
part of the third. So now the ecosystem is a little bit screwed up, but the plants are growing really well with the new seeds. So we'll see if it holds up. But
That's really awesome. So
yeah.
I forgot it's a little bit cold for you all to be starting planting yet because we're just getting to the point where planting outside is going to be a possibility here. But it's been in like, the 60s and 70s here. So I imagine it's a bit
40s,
chillier up there.
30s, 40s and 30s. Last I checked, I think today was in the like upper 40s.
Today, 60 tomorrow.
Yeah.
Sunny.
Nice.
Yeah.
Ooh.
Let's see if it holds out.
Okay, Joe just mentioned that between Star Wars and Star Trek, I always choose Spaceballs. That's a smart choice. God, I haven't seen Space. Oh, it reminds me in high school or shortly after, one of our friends, we made her watch Spaceballs and she hadn't seen any of the Star Wars movies. Most things just kind of flew over her head.
That's all right.
That was great. I haven't seen that. God, I haven't seen that in years.
I haven't either.
It's
probably been. It might. I think it probably last saw it on VHS. Actually, I think if we're honest with ourselves here, that's not a huge deal since I saw a VHS player and a bunch of VHS tapes and I still watch them. So it's not like not huge.
Yeah.
But I think if you ever were to get to know Joe, he pretty much has most of his references are either Family Guy or Spaceballs, I believe. So
nice.
He's that kind of guy.
My son has a T-shirt. Everything I learned in life, I learned on Family Guy.
Uh-oh.
Or Simpsons. Also Simpsons. That's another one that Joe.
Yeah.
But like when he was younger, he'd know a song that I know I'd never played from. He'd name it, and I'm like, "Where the hell did you learn that?" He says, "Oh, I was on Family Guy."
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah. Had
just like the Carlton dance in Fortnite now.
Oh yeah. It's interesting the way things just kind of they show up even for people who are playing Fortnite who've never seen an episode of Fresh Prince. It's just bizarre. Yeah, I just don't like those those reminders of being old. It's just like, yeah, it's like I know factually the number is going up, but the reminders of it, especially in the pop culture references, are just.
Yeah, but you're still a youngin'. You're not.
Thank you. That's yeah.
Yeah, Steve's on the way out, so.
Joe corrected me. It was Simpsons, not Family Guy. Seasons 2 or 3 through 8 or 9 were gold. That's what he says. So I don't know how long ago that was. But Santa's Little Helper is my favorite of all the characters. I used to have a Greyhound.
Yeah.
So.
It's a perfectly cromulent choice.
It is. I'm sure I embiggened you with that statement.
You did.
Someone posted, I can't remember, I think it was on my Facebook, a picture of what No, I'm just going blank. See, old timers moment. Cragmire would look like if he was a real person, and it was weird.
Oh, that's disturbing.
That's funny.
Oh, 'cause
I'll have to
wasn't
find it and post it in Biddle.
yeah, wasn't there a post like somebody who found like basically the real life equivalent of Peter, and it was just like, oh my god.
There's a guy on YouTube who looks and sounds exactly like Peter Griffin and does a grinds my gears segment and everything. It's pretty great. I think I want to say his channel is like real life Peter Griffin or something like that. It's pretty frightening how accurate it is.
Well, I am going to head off because it is Saturday, and not because I have a roaring social life, but I'm going to log into my island and on Animal Crossing, in which today it is the 1 year anniversary of New Horizons, which I didn't get till May, but it is the game that helped me stay sane and connect with my niece during this year. So kind of an
It's a great
awesome
game.
thing. It really is. And I am one of my plans right now, I have a whole bunch of Star Trek Next Gen sweaters in my shop. I think I'm gonna make a bunch of like Linux distro shirts in my shop next. So we'll give you all my friend code. So might be starting
So-
with Ubuntu ones first. Sorry.
I was
But
hoping
I will
OpenSUSE.
stretch out. Well, we'll get there. Also, I'm convinced someone who is an OpenSUSE user is on Mass Singer because there's a chameleon now as one of the characters who had really disturbing backup dancers with green chameleon head hats on
Nice.
Wednesday night. Oh yeah, it was like, well, that's cool. It's also nightmare fuel, but yes, we will eventually get to everybody, and we will definitely have our chameleon team green, and it'll be awesome.
Cool.
But thank you for doing this. This is really cool. And have a good night, everybody.
Thanks, you too. Thanks for stopping
Later,
by. I
Monica.
appreciate it.
Bye.
Eric Adams is in the room.
I see that.
What's
It's
up,
good to see
bud?
Eric.
That explains
Eric,
the
these are
smell.
Oh,
Oh man. So I actually have yellowish, like warm lights in here, but I look green apparently. But that's okay. I'm good with that. That's good. That's fine. You know, I'm not a professional setup here. I'm just a dude with a mic.
kids might have taken a
camera.
green magic marker on your webcam lens.
Ah, that could be. Is that better? So, has anyone bought any new hardware as of late? Any new exciting?
I kind of, sorta. I bought a 4-bay icy dock,
Oh,
which I had to return because only 2 bays would work.
That's the unfortunate thing I hear about them.
Yeah, it was one that was Tanel did a video on it a year ago, I think, and Vince has one. And okay, if Vince has one, I should never. If Vince has something, I would get it. Okay. I don't know if he's come back from eating his sandwich yet. But
Probably not.
because I don't like. I used to do a lot of kind of dual booting, and I know many don't seem to have issues, but I would run into issues, and I just wanted something that would be easy to pop in and out, and it was like trouble from the get-go. It's a nice metal case, but the inside's just all plastic, and it just didn't seem to seat right when you put the SSDs in, and I couldn't get the system to read the SSDs in the bays. So I had to install, my one SSD has my PEP 10 on it, but then I had to pull a SATA and just I installed POP on another one, and just to have it, I had the Voyager XFCE, and it would only read once I did that, and then I popped in the bays, but it would only pick up 2 of them. And I tried switching the SATA cables around and that, and it wasn't that. It just like I couldn't get them. You know, the power was to them, the lights were on. You know, because actually my son actually uses my PEP a lot. He's been using it more on Steam. He does Gary mod, you know, and you know, he'll have his laptop going with his Windows, and then my desktop going with you know, Peppermint on it, and he's loaded up with quite a few games in that. I know he did like a 4 gig download or something the other week, syncing all his games and that up. But yeah, that's I think the biggest thing I had gotten recently.
Is that something like is that a separate module you put next to your computer, or is that something that goes inside of the...
It will fit. It's like the size of a DVD player.
Oh,
You know,
okay.
DVD
5.25 bay.
unit. Right. So there's some of them that you have to get. Not only do you get the bay, but then you have to get the inserts for it. But this was just it's called a Flexi Dock by IC Dock.
Yeah. Okay.
And it's just 4, and I thought that would be perfect. You know, I can run because I'm really pop on my lap, and I don't want to get rid of Peppermint. You know, that's got all my main stuff on it. I figured I can, you know, do the IC Dock and and then I can test, because there is a big difference when testing some distros between a laptop and a desktop. And like with Voyager, when I put it on the laptop, this it seemed like some of the sidebars in that they had didn't go right, but on the desktop with you know, 1920 by 1080, it looked beautiful, it worked fine.
Now, is it? Because I don't know about these IC Docs things, but is it like you select which drive you want, or
Right,
you can
so
actually
you can
have
leave
them all?
all 4 in, but there's 4 power switches.
Okay.
And so if you want what's in bay 1 to boot up, you turn off all the other 3, and it'll boot off that. And then if you want, you know, and then you shut down. And it's supposed to support hot swapping.
Mhm.
You know, I know my Asus motherboard supports that, but I don't know if I would try that. I don't know how well it would work without damaging something.
Well, there's one way to find out.
Yeah, but so, and then if you want your distribution on bay 2, you know, you shut down, turn off bay 1, turn on bay 2, and it'll boot off of that.
So could you have like bay 1 and bay 2 on at the same time?
Yeah, that's the idea. So, like, just for example, say you had a home folder in Bay 2, you could theoretically use that home folder for multiple distributions. I mean, I don't know how wise that would be with config files and all that, but I mean, it's technically possible.
Right. What's interesting? Well, you could probably have like all your documents, but not necessarily your dot files. You could probably break it out like that. That's a neat idea. I like that.
Yeah,
that's pretty darn
the
cool.
only thing that I've heard is the quality control is not always the best, unfortunately.
Yeah, and the power buttons are on the smallish side. And the ejector button isn't smooth on all 4 of them. You know, maybe 1 and 2 would pop out really easy, and then like number 4 would be just like, you know, and you got to make sure that it's you know, screwed in good to your bay. My unit, you know, it's got that clamp that you clip in and locks in, but it locks it in on the right side and not on the left side. So you're pushing the SSD in on the right side, and it's pushing the bay in. So I had to make sure that was screwed down. Oh, Vince is back from lunch. Nice. Glad for you to join us, Vince.
Hardware-wise, for me, I did recently pick up like a drawing tablet that you can connect to the PC. Relatively inexpensive one, just to see if it's something that I could use. It's been something that I was curious about for a while, so just decided to give it a try, and actually found the open tablet drivers on GitHub, and somebody was kind enough to help me get a config file set up for that on there, so that's pretty cool. And then I also, a little bit further back, I picked up a small form factor PC that's running like a Ryzen 45 think it's like a 4700G or something like that. It's pretty crazy GP or APU that they have, and but it's only really available to OEMs, unfortunately. But I caught that on sale and ended up picking that up, and it's going to be kind of where I offload all my. I currently do have a Synology, but I want to offload all the apps that are actually running and just use the Synology kind of as just storage and not really tax it with anything else going on it. So that's kind of the plan for it. I just haven't got to it yet.
I don't have a desktop that I could probably do that with. I mean, I do have one desktop-like machine. That's my server. It's a tower. But I wouldn't want to... kind of the point of that one is to keep it on all the time. So I don't really want to take that one down. So I thought this... What's that?
Go ahead. No, I was going to say, I know Vince was missing Eric because it's really hard for him to troll by himself.
Yeah. So I thought this right, this is an interesting piece of hardware that I saw. And if you can just make use of us, I'll put it in the chat here so you guys can see it. But you on Jitsi can't see what I'm showing, but this thing called a JingPad A1 has become the first consumer Linux laptop. Tablet. I'm sorry, tablet, not laptop. Tablet. I had a brain fart there.
2-in-1.
So anyway, I thought it was very interesting. A tablet for the masses. What do you guys think about an ARM-based tablet that is set to be a Linux consumer tablet? Do you think that actually has any traction to it? Do you think this is going to be like another, thing that's here, we're excited about it, and just pretty much fizzles out? Do you see a practical use for a tablet, or is the age of the tablet sort of drifted off?
I don't know. I don't use my tablet as much as I used. I use it more for my stream now because of the stream control app that I use. And I'll maybe sometimes before bed I might look some stuff up, or do a little surfing or something like that. But I don't use mine as much.
If it can be fast enough, I think it would be worth it. That's the key. It has to be quick enough.
Very true. They're also kind of a bit of a downside, I think, is they're using some special version of Linux that they're doing. So, I mean, it's going to depend on how good that particular distro of Linux can be.
I would also say that there might need to be some special features with that tablet in order to make it good.
You're really quiet for me, JJ.
Okay, hold on.
That's a first.
Sounded fine to me.
Yeah. He didn't blow the doors off.
Could have been worse. Although, a lot better.
No, actually, are still
kind of quiet.
low.
Yeah.
I should be. I'm just. Yep. Test 1 2 3.
There we go.
Okay. There you go.
No background noise, right?
No, you're good.
Nope, you're good.
Okay.
Yep.
Yeah. So again, I was gonna say like Linux tablets need to have like a specific features that need to be very, very good in order to appeal to the consumer market as well. I mean, we still have the Pine tab, which is interesting, but can these sort of tablets bring enough market pressure in order to the mainstream options that are available? And Google itself abandoned the tablet market. It's all iPad or Samsung or other custom Android OS variant.
I don't think it's that important that the tablet reach like the masses, like something like an iPad does. I think it's important that the tablet carve out its own niche and serve the users that would use it, like those users that would want a Linux tablet, that would want like the customization and whatnot that comes with that. Those users are the ones that need to be catered to, not the people who are almost never going to buy your product.
Right. Yeah, and I would agree there. And I mean, I don't think that we're gonna get something like that where it is gonna appeal to the masses. It is because I mean, they don't care what it runs. They just want it to do whatever they want it to do. And whether it runs for most people, whether it runs some sort of Mac OS or you know Android or whatever Windows, they don't care. So,
Yeah.
but the
Does anybody
big
know
thing,
if JingoOS runs PWAs decently? Because that would be like a very good feature to have.
What do you
Progressive
mean?
web apps.
Oh.
Those are like the web app that you can that you can set up as like a shortcut on your home screen, and you don't have to like install an application from the
the
App
single
Store.
browser.
Yeah, that's kind of really the future for most things that the average consumer would use on a tablet, or would be probably a PWA. But at the same time, Chromebook. I don't know, like
Yeah,
it's
but
it's a hard sell.
like here, I mean, again with the mainstream option of like the Chromebook as well.
Yeah,
But
and
again, the key is not necessarily to create a product that's going to appeal to everyone. The key is to make a product that appeals to the right audience, because face it, like the budgets and the marketing and all this that Google and Apple and Amazon and these others have to make their stuff work. I mean, the fact that Microsoft, who put quite a bit of money behind Windows Phone, couldn't get into the market. Like, what are these the smaller people are never going to reach the masses like we would want them to. But if they focus on their niche, if they focus on their core audience and make a product that works for the people that want their product, that's going to bring them some success.
right. And I guess the other side of that GingOS thing that I was talking about is, since they are specifically focused on their device, I mean, I'm hoping that they can kind of push things their way. Because, I mean, with the Pine tab and, the Pine phone, while all the teams working on it, they're also trying to support a bunch of other devices, and they're trying to kind of backdoor themselves into those devices in a lot of cases. So I'm just curious to see where it goes with that kind of focus, I guess.
Yeah, I think that's interesting thought exercise. My thing is like for a tablet, like Eric, he said he just wanted a reasonably powerful Linux tablet that he can use however he wants, but he's not expecting perfection. And I'm not sure like where that line is perfection. I think that's probably somewhere like what is acceptable, like how much are you willing to faff around with it to use it? I think is probably what that means. How
How
much
much you're willing to mess around with it, being able to repair it, that would be a good thing. That would make it especially good.
yeah. Or like but like I don't like to mess like okay, so for me, my computer is like a wrench or maybe like more like a drill. Maybe it has a power tool, right? And I want it to just work. I want to be able to pick it up and use it and work it. Understanding there's still maintenance, so no matter what tool you have, everything requires a certain amount of maintenance. But is the maintenance gonna be like a helicopter where for every hour you're using it, you're doing an hour of maintenance? See, to me, that's not a tool I can keep. So I think like for me, for like a tablet or a phone, I don't want to have to think too much about it. I just want to use it. But because I'm an enthusiast, I do like to understand how it works. And I take apart my tools too to understand how they're put together. So I don't know. I just want something that I don't have to. I want to turn it on and be able to use it. But also have it accessible at the same time. If that makes any sense.
Totally,
I've been
totally.
I've been playing with my Pine phone. I'm sure it's no surprise to anybody that knows me at least a little bit. See what my Pine phone is running. I don't know if you can see that. Maybe a little bit.
I think I turned on the brightness of your screen a little bit.
It's running
a little
Glow
ghostly.
OS.
It is.
It's a little
let's
Halo-y, to be honest.
Yeah. Let's see.
I mean that glorious OpenSUSE, all that stuff.
Yeah, it's running OpenSUSE. I don't know if we can do it at the right angle here. So,
by the way,
anyway.
for the record, I'm currently on OpenSUSE Tumbleweed right now. So
oh,
I'm living on the edge. So it's been. I think I've had it for like a few months now, and or week. Maybe it's like less than a month, but so far so good. And yes, plasma. Yes, it is plasma, Vince. Yeah. Also, I found like a perfect small TV that I could use as my vertical monitor. It was like a 19-inch television that I got for like $25, and I'm using it as my vertical monitor for like text and chats. So, and I could overdrive it to 1080p.
So the monitor that you're using, what is the latency acceptable with it? 'Cause I've noticed like with some HDMI monitors I've plugged into that the latency was significant.
I mean, I'm not using this for gaming. Again, I'm only using this for text and or chats, so I don't necessarily want to use it for like gaming per se. So I'm not sure about that specific item. It's officially 720p, but I could overdrive it to 1080p to make it scale a little bit smaller. Although I've been messing around with Wayland as well, and there's still some paper cuts there, especially with like the window UI. Like when I try scaling the display to like below 100%, for some reason the window UI disappears, like
Hmm.
the three buttons on the right. So,
And there's like some TVs like the way they process the input, sometimes they'll cut off a part of the outside of the display. Which tells me they're
well,
probably lying about what they are. They probably don't have as many pixels as they say they do.
well, it's funny because that's like a specific setting. I've set once I set it up to scan, it showed all those stuff correctly.
Okay. Well, that's cool.
Mhm.
Yeah, I think a tablet would be fun to play with right now. I'm not really sure how I would work it into my usage. I know, like you said, Steve, that you use it for like your Stream Deck, right? Is that how you use it? So can you assign like sound effects then to it or whatever, like music stuff, like start this song, that song, or how do you do that?
For the stream control, or
Yeah, yeah. Can
sorry,
you do things like that with it?
well, whatever. I have OBS set up. It controls OBS.
Oh, okay.
It's a replacement for like a Stream Deck, whatever.
Right.
It works fine. It's the one that Wimpy's been using. I liked it so much, and they've updated it so well that I actually bought it last week.
That's cool.
So Nate, this is something you can use week 3.
I don't know if I'm going to use it week 3.
I'm just giving you options to improve the quality for each episode.
Well, I mean, you don't put too much stock. You know, don't raise your hopes up too much here on that. I don't know that we might be at like the limits. Like my 100% is probably like Steve's 60%, and so I don't want to I don't want to like artificially inflate any expectations as far as like what I'm able to produce here with a live stream show. So, and besides, we're just filling in for Biddle right now. I missed the voices and the faces of many people. So that's the real story there.
I understand. I totally get you, Nate.
So I know I'm gonna go around the horn here one last time, and because we're almost at that magic 2-hour mark. I think people are probably are dropping off and going to sleep and having doing more important things with their lives than chatting with a bunch of e-nerds, right? So Vash, I don't know if you had anything else you wanted to plug here that's going on in your world.
Nothing in particular. I'm hoping that soon here I'll actually start doing some more YouTube videos, but I just haven't had the chance. Just been busy diving into other things.
That's understandable. It's springtime, so who knows what happens at this point, right?
Very true.
So Adam, I don't know what's going on in your world. If anything you want to share with for the good of the group.
Not really. I mean, I occasionally stream over at twitch.tv/lucidlinks if you ever want to drop by. It's not hasn't been too recent lately, but hopefully I'll get back on that when work starts to calm down a little more.
That's good. Steve, what
Sir?
what do you have going? So tomorrow, are you doing your coffee
I will be
clash
on
clash of the coffees?
8:05 Central Time tomorrow morning. Too early for some of the early birds, but it works out for me. Son is still comatose till noon because he'll be up till 3 or 4 in the morning on a computer, and my wife doesn't bother me in the morning, so I will be doing a stream in the morning. I loaded Ubuntu Mate 2010 on it, and I have not given Mate much of a chance like I did with GNOME in my beginning days, and I figured I'd take a look at that in the morning, starting to add some distros to the morning stream.
Well, that's cool. That's exciting. I haven't actually looked at any of the GTK based anything for a while now. I probably should again. I know that with Joshua putting all kinds of stuff into a lot of work into Cinnamon, and I know Gnome's got a lot of new things coming too, so that's exciting. So what about you, JJ? What's going on for you?
So again, I'm messing around with OpenSUSE Tumbleweed. I'm also more along the lines of trying to master Wayland and also trying to get as much answers as possible about this Pipewire thing that's been popular. So I've been communicating. So you can find me generally in the community among all the chat rooms, and also many of the some of the after shows of many of your popular Linux podcasts. So
I'm aware.
Catch me there.
We don't go to all the popular ones. I mean, you did come here, so that means you can't. You do have low standards, so that's good. I appreciate you coming down.
Woo.
I'm just saying, just saying to say. Well, you can catch me. So we're not doing this. You can catch me on the DLN Extend podcast as part of the Destination Linux Network, where I have my co-hosts Matt and Wendy. Wendy is the photographer Jedi that teaches us all kinds of things that has to do with photography and however she does that profession. And then Matt, he's into gaming, so he's going to enable you with some other form of gaming something. I think he's cost me at least $50 or $60 since the show started because I've purchased a game or two. But yeah, so that's Matt. And then also I have my my noodlings, my Cubicle Nate noodlings. I do them about once in a whenever. Sometimes I can be on every week, and sometimes I miss a few months. So I have the consistency of chunky peanut butter that you buy in the value section at a grocery store. So well, that's going to pretty much wrap things up for us right here. First,
well, thanks for doing this, Nate.
Yeah, I do want to thank all of you for joining us on both, and I want to thank you for joining on both Jitsi and also on YouTube stream. I want to thank again Rocco for starting the BDLL community. I want to thank the OpenSUSE project for the use of their Jitsi server, and everyone involved in making the Linux and open source tools possible for us to not only have this conversation, but also to have fun, enjoy our technology. And Linux truly puts a personal back in a personal computer. So until next time, we'll see you.
Bye, everybody.
Later.